Good morning. I'm back. Oh gosh, it's been a long time. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Jill and I'm coming to you from Perth in Western Australia. You can find me on Instagram and also on Ravelry, and I'll put all the links for those in the project notes at the bottom. Okay, so it's been a long time. In fact, I think it's been over 6 months, probably maybe 8 or 9. I don't know where last year went after we had all our bathroom and laundry renovations done and the house was in total chaos. It was just after that I had to go back to work for a little while. Then before Christmas I got sick with a bad cold, and then Christmas and went away on holidays in the caravan for a bit. Then came back. Had to go back to work again for most of first term this year. And then we went on our wonderful, finally, postponed for 3 years, trip to the UK, which included Scotland, England and Wales, and then finished off with a few weeks in Italy. We were away for 3 months and just got back last week. So we've had a wonderful time. But I've got to tell you, it was so hot towards the end, especially in Italy. And even the last few weeks were in the UK, it was incredibly hot. And in London, oh my goodness, getting on the tube in peak hour traffic, because we had to be at our tour of Westminster Abbey, you know, like at 9 o'clock in the morning. And we were getting on the tube and there's no air conditioning on those trains. I think it was about 26 degrees that day, which for us in Perth is like, gosh, that can be a warm winter's day. But when there's no air conditioning and you're on a tube with everyone heading into work, and you know it's so crowded that the doors didn't shut the first time because there were too many people, and you can imagine how stuffy, and oh, it was horrible. I would never, ever, ever go at that time of year again. I mean, we left Perth on the 23rd of April, but we didn't get back till the 5th of July. So by then Europe was in full summer mode, which is great for them. I know they love their summer, but for us coming from a hot climate, I didn't appreciate it at all. But we still had a wonderful time, and if we ever go back, we'll definitely be doing it, I think, either in the early spring or late autumn to try and avoid some of the crowds. But having said that, we did have a wonderful time, but it's really nice to be home. So I thought I'd get back on the right foot. We came back home with colds, by the way, got through the whole 3 months without a sniffle. And the minute we got on the plane to come home, I woke up the next day with a sore throat. And you can hear it in my voice, but I am much better now. I thought I would start off with some finished objects today because I've got a few. I'll start off with some socks I had started, I think, when I last podcast. And look, I've been wearing these and I've almost forgotten about them now. But I think I said to you they were from one of the Shop All Crazy Zow balls. And I just made up my own pattern. I just got a stitch pattern out of my Japanese stitch dictionary. And I put that down the front. I really love how the colours in this turned out. I really need to get some good sock blockers, don't I, to show you. But there is one problem with these. I did the same amount of stitches cast on that I always do. But I don't know if this particular Crazy Zow ball was a little bit on the thin side, but they are a little bit tight to get on my foot. Once they're on, they're nice and snug and they're fine. And I have got another pair of socks knitted out of the same wool but a different colourway that got very slouchy very quickly after, you know, half a dozen washes. So I think this will probably happen to these as well. But they're still fine. I've just got to undo my jeans so I can bend down to put them on. But anyway, here they are in all their glory. My standard heel is a heel flap and gusset because I have a very high instep and I just find that doing a heel this way goes on my foot much better. And I'm very happy with that. And I do a 20 row rib, which is there. So of course, yes, I have two. And I do love my hand knitted socks. I haven't, apart from little summer shorties that I wore in the UK and Italy, in winter I haven't worn commercial socks for many years now. And I just keep adding my new ones to my rotation. And I just love them. But yeah, I'm very happy with those. So there's no pattern. It's just my recipe, 20 rows rib, do the leg to as long as what I think it's usually around 65, 70 rows. I'm not quite sure. Look at the back. That's just stocking stitch on the back. And then I always do a heel flap and gusset. And then however many rows I need to my foot, it's usually about 60, I think, but I do tend to try them on as I go so I can get them exactly the right length for that particular yarn I'm using. And then I quite like the umbrella toe, which is where you do a decrease. Instead of just decreasing at the sides, you do regular decreases all the way around. I find that fits my toes very nicely and very comfortable. And I must admit, I think I have finally mastered Kitchener stitch, even though I only had to graft 6 stitches. I think that's a pretty nice little join. You can't really even see it, which is what you want, isn't it? So, yep, that's my socks. They're in my rotation. I'm enjoying them because it's winter here now. In fact, we had a pretty chilly start to the day today. I think it was only about 6 degrees when I woke up this morning, and it's going to be 17 today. So into my winter woolies, which is wonderful. And I'm just going to have a mouthful of my tea because my hands are cold. And I love holding a nice hot teacup when my hands are cold. Look at this beautiful mug. Can I just let you have a moment to admire my lovely mug? This was made by a local West Australian artisan, and her name is Vicky, and she is the owner of Wonky Pot Pottery down at Torbay, which is down near Denmark. As you know, a place where we... oh, goodness me, I'm so sorry. That's a place where we go quite a lot. And I just love it. I love giraffes, so you can't quite see, but there are a couple of giraffe pictures up the top there. I love giraffes. I think they're the most adorable animals, so I just love that mug. Okay. The next finished object I want to show you is something I actually did while I was away on our big trip. So don't laugh, I didn't take any knitting with me, mainly because we were travelling with my sister and her husband, and my sister has no interest in anything crafty, and I thought we'll be sitting chatting at night and what have you, so I thought it won't hurt my hands to have a rest for 3 months. And I knew once we got to Italy that the social engagements would be even more so, because we were meeting my brother-in-law, my husband's brother and his partner and his family over there. So I thought, no, I'm not going to take anything. But what I did take, because I thought I might do it in the car when we were having long journey days to stop myself from falling asleep, I did take some crochet. So as you know, my little shop, the Jacaranda Forest, I've been selling stuff online, and that's waned a little bit lately, but I'm going to start boosting that up again next week. But I'm also selling my items here at a shop in Perth called the Tasty Pear, like a bricks and mortar shop. It's like a craft co-op. And one of the things that has been selling very well in that shop is handmade bespoke clothing. So one-of-a-kind dresses, whatever, it's 2 or 3 ladies who make clothes for the shop, and they seem to sell really well. But not many people who have stuff in the shop do any crochet. So I thought that because crochet grows a lot more quickly than knitting does, I might have a go at putting a couple of summer tops in the shop. So I started one before we left, and I took it with me, and I finished that. I'm going to do probably 4 tops, all the same but in different sizes and different colours, because otherwise I'd get bored. So I started off with a large one, and this is the first one that I finished. And this is made from Bendigo Woolen Mills, 8-ply cotton, which is very, very soft. Now I haven't blocked these yet, and I want some advice on blocking pure cotton. This is a very soft cotton, and I want it to keep its softness. And I know cotton can sometimes go a bit stiff and hard. So I want to be able to recommend to customers the best way to wash it to preserve the softness, because it just says hand wash on the label. It doesn't give you any other information. So I thought, sorry, I just got this horrible frog in my throat that won't go away. I thought I might give it a soak in some soak or Eucalan, because you don't really have to rinse that so much. And then wring out as much of the moisture as I can, perhaps put it between a couple of towels and stand on it, because I really need to block out the lace section. Now you'll see what I mean. I just love this. Firstly, this top is called the Bahama Blouse, and the designer is Brianne Mauldin, Mauldin, and I will put the link to the patterns in the show notes. But this is it. This is the silver grey. And if you can see, if I just sit back a bit, you can see how the lace section has come in a bit, whereas I think it's supposed to flare out a bit. So I'm going to block it and stretch out the lace. Part of that's my own fault, because I didn't take the right size crochet hook with me. And I did buy one while I was over there. And then after I finished the top, I ripped out all the lace out and redid it with the new size crochet hook. Then I realised I'd bought the same size crochet hook as what I already had. But when I give it a good stretch, the lace is quite stretchy, so I think it will stretch out. For future ones of these that I make, I'm going to make sure I've got the right size hook. But I'm really happy with it, and the sleeves are beautiful. Look at the sleeves, the lace on the sleeves. And it's a bit of a crease because it's been folded up in my case on the travelling around. I think it's going to be really pretty. This is the back now I'm going to show you. And you can see the back where the beginning and the end of the rounds are. And it almost makes like a faux seam. And I quite like that idea. And it also makes it very easy to distinguish between the front and the back. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. That was my daughter on the phone. Yes, so I was thinking that I might get some labels made, just with the Jacaranda Forest printed on them, that I can just sew on the inside of the back as well, just to give them that bit more of a professional look. So that's my silver one. And then, of course, we were very limited on space in our cases, because being away for 3 months, we went all the way up to the wilds of Scotland, to the Orkney Islands, where it was very cold. So we needed warm jackets and full-on winter clothes. And then by the time we finished, we were doing nearly 40 degrees in Italy. So we needed clothes for all seasons. So I didn't take, apart from the yarn to finish that silver top, I didn't take anything else with me. But I didn't want to be stuck either. When I finished that one a lot quicker than what I thought I was going to, I Googled where the nearest yarn shop was. And I found a lovely shop, and I thought I'd kept the card from her shop to tell you about it, but of course I didn't. And I can't, we went to so many places, I can't even remember. I think it was somewhere near Colchester, but I can't confirm it. But anyway, I bought some lovely red cotton, which I'll show you later, because I didn't start that one straight away. I also then went, once we got to Scotland, we went to a lovely shop up in Callander, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous town. It's so pretty. And there's a beautiful shop there, and I can't recall the name of that either. But hang on, I have friended them on Facebook, so let's see if I can find it. Just bear with me 1 second. Stitchcraft, that's what it's called. And this is their Facebook page, Stitchcraft in Callander. I also decided there I needed to buy another crochet hook, and they had a lovely range, and they had this most beautiful bamboo and cotton blend by Stylecraft. So this is the label. So it was a DK weight. Now this is super soft, just as soft as the Bendigo cotton. I don't know how the bamboo will react to washing and blocking, but I've got the same problem with this, so I'm going to need to block it. It's sold as a DK weight, but it felt a lot thinner to me, and so I crocheted up the same size as the grey one, but it's actually come out quite a bit smaller, so which is fine because I can sell this as a smaller size. And this is the colour, and I think it's, once again, it's got a crease down the middle from being in my case, and that's it in this beautiful, it's got a lovely drape with the bamboo in it. It's such a nice pattern, and it's not difficult to do. Because I've never done anything like this before, I was a bit nervous because it's you start off up here, and it's a chainless foundation. So your first row is actually a foundation row without chaining first. So I had to teach myself that on YouTube. I sat with my headphones on one night while everyone else was watching a horrible movie about something, and taught myself to do it. And it actually gives a really nice finish. So, and then it's top down, so you have to do increases every so often. So I had to keep putting markers where the increases are, so I wouldn't forget. And what I find difficult sometimes is when you've done your increase and then you have to start the next bit coming along here, there's always a hidden stitch, and you can't miss that hidden stitch or it messes up your stitch count. And that hidden stitch can be a tricky little blighter. It's very hard to get your hook into sometimes. But I persevered and I got better at it as I went. So that's the blue one. And I have got another one that I'm going to show you when I talk about my works in progress. So it's such a nice pattern. I'm going to look up Brianne's patterns on Ravelry and see what else she's got, because it was very, very well written, not a single mistake anywhere, and very easy for a novice crocheter to follow. Actually, I don't think I'm a novice anymore. I think I've done enough crochet now to be maybe bordering between beginner and intermediate. I don't think I'll ever be advanced. Okay, there's this lovely lady I know in Perth called Jane. And Jane, I don't think you watch my podcast, but if you are, wishing you a speedy recovery from all the surgery you've had lately. And all my Perth friends who know Jane know that she is a crocheter extraordinaire. She's amazing, and she does a lot of blankets that she gives away for charities. So she's an incredible person. Okay, my other finished project is another crochet project. And finally, I finished my blanket. Now, there's no way I can hold this up and show you it because it is huge. But I'm so happy with how it turned out. So this is my Phoenix blanket by Hooked on Sunshine. And it's so big and so heavy, but it's going to live for now on our spare bed. And I have taken some photos of it, and I will insert them here. So this blanket was absolutely a labour of love. I started this at the beginning of last year when I first developed the shingles. I found it was, because it was only very small, of course, at first, it was the ideal project because there was nothing rubbing on the bits where I was sore. Still sore, by the way, still taking drugs. But I was in such a state at the time that this was the perfect thing to work on, and it gave me something to focus on because I was learning new stitches all the time. And when I bought the pattern, I paid an extra, I can't remember how much it was now, not much, only a couple of dollars, to have the video tutorial with it. And I'm so glad I did that because I would say for the first, I don't know how much. You can see this is where I started in the white. I'd say probably by the time I got past here, I very rarely needed the tutorials, but I certainly did at the start. And once again, it was those hidden stitches that were they were the bane of my life, I can tell you. But once I learnt to recognise them and look out for them, then things became much easier. So by the time I was about probably a third of the way through, I didn't need the tutorials anymore. And I learnt so much doing this project. And that's what gave me the confidence to then go on and make those lovely tops that I'm making. So that's it for all my finished objects. And now we'll move on to my works in progress. So my first work in progress I want to show you is my next Bahama blouse that I'm working on. And it'll give you an idea of how the construction works. So this one I'm doing in red cotton. Look at this lovely colour. So this is Cotton Soft by King Cole. This is the one I bought at the shop that I can't remember the name of the shop or where it was. I'm pretty sure it was near Colchester. Look, you know what? I'm going to get Google Maps out and see if I can find it. I found it. I remembered I kept a diary of my holiday and I found it in there. So the town is called Prudhoe, which is Prudhoe. It's called Ready Steady Knit. I'm so glad I found that for you, because when we found it, I mentioned to you before that no one else in my family is into knitting or anything like that. So I thought they'll all walk down the main street and leave me to browse around this shop in peace. Oh no, they all walked in with me. This poor lady, it's a tiny little shop, and this poor lady must have thought, oh my goodness, all these Australians walking in. And I said to her, I didn't want all these non-knitters coming in the shop with me because they'll rush me and they'll stop me from spending money. So she said to them all, you could all just leave then and leave this woman in peace. So they're all walking out the door as another customer walks in, and we just all had such a laugh. But in the end, all I wanted to buy was some cotton. But I wanted to give her shop a plug. If any of you live near Prudhoe, it's just a quiet little place, but it's a beautiful, beautiful shop. It was just lovely, and I was so glad to find it because I was able to get some cotton. I was able to get what I thought was the next size up crochet hook, and it ended up being the same. So anyway, let me just show you this. This is how it starts. So up here at the top where I did the chainless foundation, which is a bit like your cast on. So that's it around the top, and then you just keep increasing every row, and then see, this is all still like one big square. I've got a few more increases to do yet, and then what will happen is I'll crochet around, but when I get to the first marker here, instead of increasing and going up that way, I'll join from here to here, which then forms the armhole. And then I'll keep going round and round for a few more rounds, then I'll start the lace. And then you pick up, it's like picking up stitches really, you just crochet around the edge to pick up the right number of chains or stitches, I guess, to do your lace pattern on the sleeves. So that's my first work in progress I wanted to show you. It's been on a bit of vacation because towards the end of our trip we just didn't get a chance. We were back into like Travelodge hotel accommodation for the last week or so, and it's not really comfortable enough in there to sit and knit. I can't really sit or crochet. I can't really sit on hotel beds for long doing it because I get a sore backside, and there's no comfortable chairs in there. So and once we got to Italy, it was not only too hot, but we were with all my brother-in-law's family. So yeah, that didn't work either. Plus in Italy, they eat so late. Like we would be going out for dinner, nothing opens till 8 o'clock at night. I'm normally winding down and getting ready for bed at that time. So yeah, so no crochet happened in Italy. So I just dragged it out for the first time again yesterday, and that's now well and truly on the go again. The next work in progress I want to show you is the progress or lack of progress that I've made on my Marie Wallen Wild Rose jumper, and I'm still loving it, and I've got the wrong thing to show you. Still haven't decided what I'm going to do about that problem where I messed up the neck. I'm thinking I'm just going to go with it, because to unpick all the colour work, it's got, all the ends are tied off, all the you know, it's all, I like to sew in a lot of my ends as I go, and I know a lot of people don't do it for that reason, that you may have to unpick or frog it, but I can't bear the thought of having all those at the end to do. So I think I'm just going to see how it plays out, and do you know what, if it's a little bit uneven, it probably will only be me that will notice it, so I'm not going to stress too much. But this is the front now and it's also the back. It's the back that's wrong, not the front. I might just have to grow my hair a few inches longer and that will cover it up. This is the front. So I've started the sleeve decreases. So yeah, this is the armhole here. I've started the sleeve decreases. Isn't that beautiful? So this is using Marie's own brand of yarn, her British Breeds. If anyone in Perth is looking for it, you can actually buy it now from Calico and Ivy. Now be warned, it is not a cheap yarn. This is a project, I bought the yarn for this when I was still working. I wouldn't be able to afford to buy it now. But having said that, if there's something you really want and you're going to know it's going to cost you a lot of money, I would delay the project by 6 months and just save up as much money as I could and then treat myself, because really, my knitting and crocheting is the only thing I spend money on. I don't go out buying clothes. I even make most of my own clothes now. So I just think if it's something you want, just wait a little longer and put some money away towards it, and then there's no guilt associated with it. Even this, look at this lovely stripe at the beginning. It's just gorgeous. It's a bit hard to see in this light. But yeah, I'm really happy with how that's coming on. I feel now that I'm making progress. I don't know. I'm still not actually enjoying the progress all that much. And I don't know why, because it is beautiful. I don't know if it's because I was doing it when I was sick last year or what it is. And I mean, look at that. It's just gorgeous. So I'm going to love the finished product, but it's just one of those, I think it's maybe I've done so much colour work over the last few years that I'm perhaps tiring a little bit of doing colour work, but I don't tire of the finished product. Oh, I don't know. I'm going mad. So I'm going to persevere and finish it. What I do is I only work on my projects at night time, apart from the crochet that I'm doing for the shop. I'll do some of that during the day. But I'm pretty busy during the day, and so at night time I only have 3 works in progress that I do, and I rotate them each night. But of course we're going out tonight, and we're going out one night during the week this week, so yeah. But you know, that's life, isn't it? I can't stop living because I want to stay home and knit, although sometimes it's very tempting. Oh, I must be getting old. So this is the beautiful wools that I'm using at the moment, and perhaps I will get one out and show you. So this is it, the British Breeds. Let me tell you what it says. It says 100% British wool made in the UK. It's a fine blend of wool spun in Devon from the blue-faced Leicester, Exmoor, Wensleydale and Zwarbles sheep breeds. the next thing I want to show you is another pair of socks. I've only just started these. This is a wool that I bought from, I've had it in my stash for a long time now. And it's a Knit Picks yarn, and I have bought quite a bit of Knit Picks, but I haven't actually knitted any of it yet. So this is their Hawthorn fingering. So this is wool with 20% polyamide. So yeah, 80% superwashed fine Highland wool. I don't mind superwash yarn for socks because it just helps them to go in the wash over and over and over and over. And I think it wears really well. So this is just like a tone. Oh, the shade is, I know it's written on here somewhere. Oh, it's called, well, I don't know. It's the Hawthorn fingering, and underneath it says Goddess Kettle Dye. I think Goddess, that must be the name of the colourway. But anyway, this is it, and it's gorgeous. I'm calling it my mulberry socks, because look at that colour. Just gorgeous. It's an absolute tonal. And if I hope this picks it up. Isn't that gorgeous? So beautiful. Now with these, I did a different cast on. I did the super stretchy cast on this time because I didn't want to have the same problem that I had with my last pair of socks, of them being a bit hard and tight to get on my foot. And this has got so much stretch. Look at that. I think this is going to be much better. I've got this needle stuck in here so I don't lose it. Now these are just mostly plain stocking stitch, which is coming up beautiful. But down the side, I'm putting, you can't really see it here because I've only just started, a bit of a cable pattern. Once again, out of my Japanese knitting stitch Bible. If anyone has this book, it's on page 83. So I'm not going to show you the chart, but what I'm doing is just this little bit here. None of this, just this bit here with two stitches of purl stitches either side of it. And I think it'll go up the left hand of one sock and up the right hand of the other. So there's not much else to say with those. My normal 64 stitch cast on, 20 rows single rib, and now I'm into this, and I'll just keep knitting this till I think the leg's long enough, and then do my heel flap and gusset. I'll continue that cable down the side of the foot and then do my umbrella toe again. So I've got plenty of yarn. I've had a bit of a, I don't know, something went wrong with my yarn winder, but hopefully it won't tangle too much. I'm using my Leica double points. I've really like using double points now on my socks. And the only time now I tend to use magic loop is when I'm going to be doing an intricate pattern where all the guts of that pattern is going to be right where the needle changes are. So that's when I would use magic loop. But for these, double pointed needles are perfect. I have one more work in progress to show you. Just let me have a mouthful of my tea. Now this, I've seen a few people doing this lately. Our lovely Charmaine from our knitting group is making one of these. And I've also seen, I can't think of what her name is, but she does the Knitty Natty podcast from America, and she's making one of these as well. And it's the Battenberg Blanket by Sandra Paul. She has a lovely podcast YouTube channel, and I think it's called Cherry Heart is the name of her podcast. And she does some beautiful things. But I've decided, so the Battenberg Blanket, I'll see if I can insert a picture here. So you do so many squares in your colours and so many squares in a contrast. Now, I've had this Bendigo yarn in my stash for quite some time to make a blanket for my hubby. You know, a nice masculine sort of looking blanket. But I didn't really want to do a knitted blanket because I don't know why, I've just got into doing crochet for blankets. And I really like this Battenberg blanket, but I didn't want all those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tiny squares to join. Then when I was watching Nitty Natty, she's started doing it, but she's making her squares a bit bigger. So I thought that's what I'll do. So I'm actually doing mine, I think she's doing 1 or 2 extra rows. I'm doing, I think there's 3 rows in the pattern. I'm doing 5 rows. Now this yarn, let me show you this yarn first. This is the ball that I'm using at the moment. It's called Bloom, and it's Bloom Mahogany. But I don't think they're making it in this colourway anymore. Bloom is one of those ranges they bring out when it's gone, it's gone. And then, you know, the next season they might bring out a new colour range in it. I just really love it. I love, and look, that's another ball that's not started yet. So Bloom Mahogany, 100% pure new wool, and it's 8 ply, which to everywhere else in the world is double knit. They're such big balls and such good value, 200 grams in there, and you know, it's about $15 Australian dollars. So it's excellent value, especially when you need a lot for a blanket. Now I couldn't decide what colour to use as the contrast because there's so many colours in this. I had their page up because I didn't really have anything in my stash. Well, I thought I did. I had a lovely burgundy colour, but that was a 12 ply. I don't know what I was thinking buying 12 ply. But so I went onto their page, and you probably can't see it, but this sort of colour that's woven in, this creamy colour, it is a real beigey creamy colour. I thought it was a pale grey, but it's not. So I went onto their page and enlarged all the different colours of their wools and kept holding this up against them. And I know it's a bit hard to get an accurate colour on your computer screen, but in the end I went with a neutral, and I think the colour is called Raffia. So I've ordered it, but it hasn't arrived yet. But what you do is you do all your coloured ones first, and then as you do your plain ones, you join it all together as you go. So I just wanted to show you how beautifully these squares are crocheting up, because every one is different. So this is in order of how I've done them. Look at that. And they're just getting paler and paler till there's hardly any of the burgundy in this one now. It's down to a very soft beigey colour with a hint of rose in it. So I'm really happy with how they're coming up, and I think they will look really nice in this Battenberg blanket. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that progresses. I can manage when I sit down to do my 3 hours or so at night. It takes me about an hour to do each square, but I think that's with a lot of interruptions. You know, you get up to make a cup of tea, you get up to have a bit of fruit. I think if I just sat down and didn't keep stopping, I could probably do almost 2 in an hour, especially now that I know what I'm doing. So that's it for all my works in progress. Just very quickly before I go, I'll leave you with just half a dozen photos of our trip. This will be from the Italian end of our trip at the end, where it was very hot. We went to the east coast of Italy. That's where my brother-in-law and his partner have their house. They don't live there. They intend to semi-retire there one day, maybe 6 months there and 6 months in Australia. But in the meantime, they met us there, and all of his partner's family as well. So we had a lovely time. We had a street party where some of the locals joined us, and they had singing beautiful Italian songs in the street. It was just the most wonderful, wonderful time. And from there we went and had a few days in Rome, and I've got to tell you, the crowds, I've never been in crowds like that in my life. So we went to the Trevi Fountain, and you couldn't get near it. But we still managed to get some nice photos. The Spanish Steps were covered in people. The Colosseum, oh my goodness, it was so hot that day. We'd had a really busy day the day before that too, because we went to Pompeii, and I reckon it was nearly 40 degrees that day. It was so hot. Thankfully, I had my hat. And silly husband bent down to do his shoelaces up in the crowds, and when he got back up, our tour group had completely moved on. I thought he was behind me, and he wasn't. So he had all the water bottles in his backpack. So I'm cursing and swearing as we're going around thinking, where is he, where is he? Anyway, we finally found him again. And I think I drank a gallon of water. It was such a hot day and so many people there. And I'd love to go back. And if anyone listening to this is thinking of visiting Pompeii, I would suggest perhaps around October, and I would stay the night somewhere in Pompeii and get a 2-day pass, and then just wander around at leisure to see all the different things. It's a fascinating place, and it just sends goosebumps down your spine when you know what happened to them all there. And when you see Vesuvius and see Pompeii is at the bottom of it, those poor souls didn't stand a chance. And then the next day we went to the Roman Forum and the Colosseum, and that was absolutely incredible. And to see where Julius Caesar's ashes are interred. I mean, can you believe it? And there's this building there that's got these massive big doors on it that were 2,000 years old. They're the original doors, still in working order. So we certainly saw some wonderful things. I'm just going to put half a dozen snaps up, and over the next few months I might show half a dozen more each time of other places where we went. So that's it for now. Thank you all if you've made it this far. Thanks for all watching and getting through all my bumbling and stumbling over words. I'm very out of practice. And I'll hopefully see you in about a month's time. So bye for now, and thanks again.
Stambron da te,